Hey guys, Ed from The Animus here. Long time no see. I apologize for the lack of updates recently, but never mind that. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I've got 5 tips for you on how to actively improve your listening. Let's go. So first, number 1, sources. Find lots of different sources. All Japanese all the time. Now I know I talked about it previously where it's a really hard standard to keep up. It is, and it's most indefinitely impossible in America unless you live in a community of nothing but Japanese people, like in Novi, Michigan is one of them, LA, New York. Unless you could find a whole community of nothing but Nihonjin, it's going to be very hard to do all Japanese all the time. That being said, you can still try and surround yourself with as much as possible. So what I have is I have some examples of some sources that you should try and do. So listening is an active thing. You have to actively pay attention to what you are listening to, otherwise you're just going to miss it all, especially in the beginning. So things that you can listen to are like CDs, music CDs. Now you're not going to be able to really understand it because of the cadence of the music and how they use each syllable to kind of emphasize each note, but it's still kind of good to hear, just at least hear the Japanese, because sometimes, especially on anime CDs like this one, they'll have conversation. Now I'll get to anime in a later point, but this is basically a start. Of course, you could do video games, Shinsangaku Musou Rock or 6, and you can play these. Again, you know, it's source material. You're listening to it, you're playing it. And of course, you have Pocket Monster and anything anime and manga, not manga, anime and dramas. And I'll get, like I said, I'll get to anime in a second. But anything you can listen to within reason is going to be good, at least to hear and comprehend. To hear and repeat, something entirely different, and that brings me to point number 2. Number 2, shadowing. Now I've talked about this ad nauseum previously in my other videos. Shadowing. What you do is you listen to whatever is being said and you repeat it. It's very easy concept. We do it when we were young, learning our native tongue. So for example, our parents would say something like, "Did you clean the dishes?" to you know, whomever, the other parental unit, and you're as a child are like, clean dishes. You don't know what clean or dishes are. You know you and did, but you don't know clean dishes. You don't know the verb and you don't know the subject. As you go and as you learn as a youngster, you start building your vocabulary bank, and it goes from there. Same thing with shadowing. Someone says, "Omae ore no esa da." You hear, oh Jesus, okay, omae da. Slang for you guys. Omae ore no, ore, you know, slang for ore, no esa da. So you're like, oh, esa da. Da. Maybe da is informal of des. Esa. What is esa? Esa. And you probably have to look that word up, which in this case, esa is like pet food, or like a, what is it? What is it? Bait, I guess you want to say? And bait isn't the right word. Just a second. Okay. Bait was right. Okay. Feed. Everyone, you're all my feed. As in, like, I'm the alpha, and then you guys are all my feed. I got that from anime manga. So I would never say that in real life. I mean, what? Unless I'm like fighting in a martial arts tournament in Japan, and I get the mic, I'm like, "Minna wo ore no esa da." And they probably won't like me very much because I'm not being very respectful for my opponents. Number 2, shadowing. And as I've said before, I have the shadowing books. You have the elementary and then the more advanced. Now, this is where you listen and you repeat it. So for example, in this one, the beginning one, you hear so. So the dialogue, really? I mean, it's just as simple as that. And you can do that with even more complicated ones, like you can do it with the N2 Chokai books, where you are listening to really technical and advanced. This is obviously N2. You can go lower or higher as your level dictates. And of course you have textbooks, which include CDs of the dialogue. A lot of times, you know, they're all voiced by native Japanese people, which is helpful for us non-native speakers, albeit a bit frustrating when you hear, you know, white son, being a perfect Japanese son, saying, "Ah, このスピーカーいい音しますね。どこのメーカーですか?" And then you hear that and you're like, he doesn't sound foreign at all. Like, how long has he been studying Japanese? An eternity? Instead, you know, he's like, この speaker いい音しますね. Doko no meika desu ka? And then you're like, oh, well, that guy sucks. Or, just not sucks, but yes. So that is an example of shadowing. And a big one that I really like to do is for dramas. You listen to it and you're like, that is what I need to be repeating. So when they say something along the lines of like something that you might actually hear someone say like, oh,いいじゃん. I mean, it's like, oh, good, ain't it? So it's like, oh, 俺の結果は 100% だぜ. Oh, いいじゃん. Something like that where you can be able to just be like, bleh, you know, spit it out without really thinking about it. That comes from shadowing. That's how you actively get your listening good. And I can't emphasize that enough. But that brings me on to number 3. When I said dramas are good, anime? Now I know that there are people on YouTube that have learned Japanese using nothing but anime or anime, if you want to get really technical on how to say it. And that's okay. The problem is that when you speak with people, you're going to sound like you don't know what you're saying, even though you probably do. So, when you listen to anime and they say things like, みんなは俺の餌だ, you're like, oh, well, he's just calling everybody his feet. He doesn't know what he's saying. But then you really do. But at the same time, you're like, what are you saying? Like if you listen to Naruto or One Piece, you know? Datebayo. If you start saying shit like datebayo in conversation, you're going to have a problem because people are going to look at you. だったりはって言ったんだ。あ、そっか。オタクじゃん。オタクだよ。And then they're not going to talk to you anymore. And then you're like, oh, I'm just the otaku guy, Kokujin, who has no friends. So don't do that, because Japanese people don't care about anime like foreigners do. And that has been said ad nauseum by tons more people than just me. So anime is not where I would go for my listening practice to speak it. To listen to it and to comprehend what they're saying, it's actually really kind of cool. If you watch like an old Ghibli movie, Castle in the Sky, Laputa. If you watch Laputa, and then you notice one part where, funny I reference One Piece, where the main kid, Pazu, is voiced by the same person who does Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece, says, oh, Machida. And you're like, Machida? That's the name of a UFC fighter. Machida. Machida. It's a city. So when you hear that, you're like, oh, okay. I don't think you'd ever have an opportunity to be like, it's a city! It's a city! Maybe you teleported and you're like, Machida! You know, it's good for comprehension, but not necessarily for producing language on your own. Step 4, conversation! So, it's really hard to get conversation partners in Japanese, because a lot of the time, if they're ryugakusei studying here in America, they're going to want to speak English. That's why they are here. But if you live in a really popular area, New York, LA, Florida, like Orlando, you can find the Japanese people, and they're gonna love you because you can speak Japanese to them. And why that's a good thing is because they're on vacation. They probably don't want to think in English. But if you see them with their giant $5,000 cameras, that's racist, I'm sorry. You got to hear that as a conversation, then boom, there you go. But if you live in North Carolina like myself, where there is no reason to come here if you're Japanese, unless it's for school where you're going to be learning English, then you have to resort to other means, which is Skype. And you can find them. You can go to Lang 8. You can post on Reddit or something. Find the conversation partners. It will happen. And that is a really good way because you get to hear them talk about their life experiences, and you can then try and reply on your own and go back and forth. And in a perfect world, you both speak 100% Japanese. Is it going to be that way? No, it's probably going to be in the beginning heavily English, and then find somewhere in the middle if they want to learn English. If they don't, if they're all just about learning or speaking Japanese, and get 100% Japanese, and boom, there you go. Your conversation skills and your listening skills are going to double up together. Number 5, the most important. Don't get discouraged. How cheesy is it to have 5 tips and the last one just be, don't get discouraged. I know it's corny, I know it's cheesy, but don't think about how hard it is. Think about the journey and how much better you've gotten since you started. Studying Japanese is hard. If it was easy, everyone could speak it, and then you'd have no point to studying the language. Like this degree on the wall means absolutely nothing if everyone could speak it. It still kind of means nothing because what the hell was I thinking going into college, going to a language degree of a country that has a dying population? But that's another story for another time. So, when you are learning Japanese, don't get discouraged. It's a fucking hard language. It's like 2,000 billion kanji. And you have to know all of them if you want to be a good conversationalist. Well, not kanji, but at least words, kotoba, and that takes time. Don't get discouraged. It's hard, but if you keep persevering, keep walking on, you got this. So hopefully you enjoyed my 5 tips. Here again, a quick review. Number 1, sources. Find as much crap as you can to listen to. Get the comprehension. Number 2, shadowing. Repeat after what you hear. Once you hear it, boom, there you go. You can repeat it and go. 3, don't do anime because anime says some weird things like Minna wa ore no yasada. And number 4, what's number 4? Conversation! Start talking to people in Japanese. Even if you have to find someone else who's learning Japanese, talk to each other. Because sometimes that's the best way to compare where you are and what you need to learn. Last but not least, again, don't get discouraged. Japanese is hard. If it was easy, everyone would speak it. And then we wouldn't be special now, would we? Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Definitely click here where I talk more about listening materials and books that you can get for that. Click here if you want to watch my popular hate mail video, and then click here to subscribe. Again, thanks for watching these videos. Watch some more, and as always, party on.